Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time for a live stream. But first, as always, a little music. Enjoy. Good evening, Steve.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. I hope you're all well, comfy, and cozy. William, good evening to you, sir. As you all know, it's movie night, and tonight's movie is A Fistful of Dollars. We have a full team of reviewers on tonight. Sensum, Eki, Magic Man, and our William. So I'll bring them on, as I've now named them. Is that us? Are we all there? Yeah, I think so. So, this is one of these films I have noticed that over the years has been given a lot of attention by people in general, not just movie fans. So it should be interesting to hear. Good evening, James. Uh, what the reviewers make of it. I've actually got a new idea, folks, and this is for the chat only. So this is for you folk in the chat. I don't know how you would feel about this, but I was thinking, could we have a regular ending to the movie reviews by everyone in the chat voting for reviewer of the night, whichever reviewer you think was the best on any given night? Now, that's just something to think about. It's just something that occurred to me. Uh, could be fun, it could be a waste of time. But anyway, I was thinking about it. So you folks think about it. You can let us know what you think of the idea. Is it just a crap idea? Said some kids. You see the kind of fun it can raise up here. Okay, folks, as always, I'm going to start off the discussion on a fistful of dollars by asking Eki briefly why you picked this film to be reviewed.
All right, so by briefly, I suppose I get to go into what, a 15-minute dissertation, right?
Yeah, that would be brief enough. Yep.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay, fair. Um, the long and the short is just I always go for sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, so I thought it would be cool to go something entirely different, so Western. And then after that, like there are a lot of good Westerns out there, and I briefly thought about another Sergio, no, two Sergio Leone movies, interestingly. Once Upon a Time in the West, and also For a Few Dollars More, both of which, by coincidence, were sampled or referenced in early 1980s dance music, which I think is funny. Infamously, the bass line from For a Few Dollars More was used in what's that band? Not Joy Division, New Order's Blue Monday, and the Once Upon a Time in the West's harmonica was used in the Orb's Little Fluffy Clouds, both of which were really big 1980s hits. I just think it's funny. I was gonna pick one of those two movies actually just for esoteric reasons, but I started moving into like John Ford. Once that opens up, you're like, okay, fine. You know what? Actually, let's pull back and just think about westerns that people would actually enjoy and kind of like, and also be just a little bit off the beaten path because everyone knows all of the big ones. I almost picked The Searchers, 1958, just because it would be kind of cool. But in the end, when people think about westerns, they always think about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you're going to go in that direction, why not go with one of the other lesser known Dollars trilogy movies, hence Fistful of Dollars? So that's basically it in a nutshell. I was being a little bit esoteric and weird in my thought process, but that was my actual thought process.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've come to expect you to be a little esoteric in your thinking. At least I have. William, what was your initial thoughts of this film, and had you seen it before?
Um, well, good evening, first of all.
Good
No,
evening.
I hadn't seen it, so it was new to me. And last week or the week before, my wife bought a Goodman's projector. So we've got it set up in the bedroom. So I got to watch it like in cinema style. So it was really good. I was stuck. I was glued to it, and it's not often I watch a western. Probably been over a decade since I looked at one. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was great. Good pick.
Excellent. So, having a projector in the bedroom means that the romance is going out of the bedroom.
Well, I'm married, so there's no romance anyway.
Oh, I'm married. Oh, dear, oh dear.
If only.
Okay. Uh, Savio, I know that this is our first time seeing the film. What was your initial thoughts?
Well, initial thoughts at first was, oh no, a western, one of my least favourite genres. And I'd obviously heard of the film. I knew it was Clint Eastwood. It was probably the film that established him in Hollywood. I'd thought I was anticipating seeing a scene that's depicted in Back to the Future 3. And obviously I was somewhat familiar with the music, so I wasn't expecting much because it's not a genre I'm particularly enamored with. But I was willing to give it a go.
Okay. Sensom, are you a fan of the spaghetti A Fistful of Dollars?
I am because my dad was a huge fan, especially the. It's loosely classed as a trilogy, but I think it's just because it's got the one main character throughout the three of them. But believe it or not, I think Fistful of Dollars is great. I really enjoyed it. But of the three, the third one is probably the strongest, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I really enjoy them. Yeah. The thing I remember, it's a daft thing I remember, but when I was little Dot, and you might remember this, John. You're probably the only one like myself who probably does. But in the
Here we
70s,
go.
oh, can you be quiet, please, Stanley Kubrick? Do you mind? Do you mind? But they used to actually get cigarette magazines. So Marlboro used to have a magazine. This is a real thing in the 70s. They used to have like their own magazines.
That's true.
And my dad used to get the Marlboro magazine, and every now and again they used to put this very thin sort of it was like a record, but it was really thin laminate sort of vinyl thing. And they did a series, and my dad didn't used to buy the Marlboro Man because he didn't smoke Marlboro, but he used to buy this Marlboro magazine, the three series, because the first one had the theme tune for Fistful of Dollars. The second one had the theme tune for A Few Dollars More. And the third one had the theme tune. So it was like this 45 single, but it was like this really flimsy. I don't know if you remember them, John, because
Yes, I do. Yep, I
a
do.
really flimsy. I mean, after you'd played it 2 or 3 times, it was useless.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But yeah, that's how I remember them. And that then when I was a little bit older, and they used to come on BBC Two predominantly, I goes, oh, that's that record that floppy record you used to have on. He goes, yeah, that's the one. So I really enjoyed them, and they're not. When you're a kid, they're not overtly graphic in violence and that. I mean, I used to love the fact that you could shoot a rope into with a gun, because I was actually believing all that stuff, especially what was it, the late 19th century. They were really that accurate. So but yeah, I used to love it because it was like in some respects it was like a sort of a slightly more modern version of I wouldn't say Robin Hood, but the mystery man, the unsung anti-hero, shall we say, because he's not really a good bloke, but he does good deeds, shall we say. So yeah, it was great because I can't Do you know something? I think probably the last time I actually watched that film was probably with my dad. So that brought back a nice little memory. I don't think I've watched it since probably either the late 80s or the early 90s. So it was
that's nice.
nice to reacquaint myself with that one.
Yeah, that's a nice connection, that, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, those records you're talking about used to be places that you could go and make a recording, and you would end up with that. I don't know if they had a particular name, but there used to be machines. You could go like a photographic booth, you know. You could go in and sing a song, and you'd get one of those things. I remember them. Probably frequented English seaside resorts, these machines. But yeah. Okay, let's go a wee bit deeper than that. What would you say was the strong point of a film like A Fistful of Dollars, William?
Oh, I think the main character was probably the strong point for me. But aside of that, the storyline itself, I was always unsure as to where it was going to go, so it had me gripped straight away. But I mean, the guy stood out hugely. You always wanted to know what he was going to do, where he was going, what he was thinking, and although, like Sensum said, he was quite the baddie, if you like. He was really a good guy, I suppose. He wanted to do good things, although he left the town with pretty much 90% of it dead. But yeah, I think the main character, for me, I would have to say, he stood out like a sore thumb, maybe. And I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'll be watching it again. I know my wife likes westerns as well, so I'll watch it again with her and do what I usually do and spoil it by telling her what's going to happen.
Well, the same question to you, Samuel.
It's definitely the central character because he's got a mysterious background, but they establish quickly that not only is he very talented with the pistol, but he's got a brain to him as well, which again is probably my ignorance with the genres itself, but assuming that level of smartness to outwit the enemy rather than just simply outdraw them was something really fresh for the westerns. So easily his character was by far the best thing about it, and the fact that there was a bit of depth that perhaps you would expect.
Okay. Eki. Same question.
Well, obviously it's Joe, central character. He's the coolest. I mean, how many times have people done their own versions, their own riffs on that character? Countless times. Everyone wants to be that character. Oh gosh, Stephen King wrote a novel about it in like the 1980s, and there was a movie that was produced recently, something about like towers or something
The
like
Dark
that.
Tower.
What's that?
Dark Tower.
Yes, that's the one. And that character was based off of Joe, off of the character from Fistful of Dollars.
As played by Idris Elba.
Yes, exactly. Who looks exactly strangely
Hollywood
like.
casting.
Yeah, brilliant, amazing casting, the best. But there have been so many iterations of that kind of character. Spike from Cowboy Bebop, and also Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. Both were based off of the character that Clint Eastwood played. So it's such a popular character. Everyone loves him for a reason. So, yeah. Myself, I'm also a huge fan.
So I take it you would go along with that view, Sensen.
I was reacquainting myself with the music because you know me, I'm a big fan of Ennio Morricone stuff, and it's each one of the trilogy has its own very iconic soundtrack. So I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember which one was the one with the predominant sort of the whistling guy.
Yeah.
And he may have reused it again in because obviously Once Upon a Time in America is the harmonica man, but I couldn't remember if it was and obviously Fistful of Dollars was the sort of the choir because the best one is at the end with what's called the Ecstasy of the Gold with the wonderful operatic singer doing the lines to that one. So I was quite surprised that this was the one that I didn't think it was, which is the riff that goes. So it was nice to reacquaint myself with that. But that's the main character. But I tell you, a character I really, I mean, this is probably an outside character, and this is probably one of the questions you're going to do. But I had a cheeky affinity with the old coffin maker.
Yeah.
I thought he was a cracking, little sort of cameo role or bit part. It depends what you want to say. Because I was thinking, because the reason why it tickled me is because I'm thinking to myself, he must be like the richest coffin maker.
Yeah,
in the
it must
world.
be.
And then all of a sudden he's got no more custom, and he's like, "Yeah, come on, I'll help you, lonesome stranger." I'm like, "Hold on a minute, you're putting yourself out of business here." You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I mean, I think the reason why the Clint Eastwood character, because he is the main character, is because the remaining actors and actresses hence why it was spaghetti western, were because they were predominantly Italian. And even though they were big stars in Italy, they were virtually unknown outside of the Italian-speaking world. So, Clint Eastwood, a big name. And once he did that one, it opened this floodgate where all of a sudden the big movie stars of the time would sort of be popping up all over the place in Italian-made films. Not just westerns, although they are spaghetti westerns, but action films, all things like that. So
Yeah.
it was really good. I liked, like I say, the main character is the main character for a reason. But I just have that little cheeky smile on my face about the coffin maker who's doing himself out of business.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, let's be honest, Sensen. I thought that was a really, really good piece of whistling that you did us there.
Yeah, I'm a regular Roger Whittaker, me. You know what I mean?
I was never very good at whistling, I tell you. Never. I wish I could, because there's places I could have used it when I was recording. But never mind. Okay. Let's go to the other end of the scale then and say, or ask, and we'll start with William. If any, what was the weakest thing in the movie for you, William?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Of course. I save all the tough ones for you.
To be honest, I kind of thought about that earlier on, and I kind of concluded, if you pardon the pun, the killing was a wee bit overkill. And I'm unsure as to other westerns, but I thought, yeah, the shooting and the killing seems a bit much. So maybe that for me was a bit far fetched, if you like, maybe.
Too many
apart,
bodies.
yeah, well, good for the coffin maker, but yeah, I thought it was a bit far fetched. But in saying that, a lot of the killings were pretty cool. Could I say that? Yeah, I'll probably say that. I loved the bit when he rolled the big barrel down the ramp and he got the two guys at the door. I thought that was great. But yeah, that's probably my only. I know I think they recorded it silent, so the voices were then put in later, and I felt I could notice that to an extent. It never put me off though, to be fair. So that's probably it.
Oh well. Samuel, how about yourself? What would you say the weakness of the film was, if any?
Oh, where do I begin? I think the end where the Rohos are mowing down the Baxter house. It became it started as, oh, this is just horrible evilness. You know, these people are coming out and they're surrendering and they're just getting mowed down. And then it turned into this weird comedy for me, where it was like a, you know, how many clowns are going to come out of this clown car, because the bodies just kept coming out. It's like, how many rooms, how many people are in this building that we never saw before, after the protagonist is taken out 4 men very early on from their building, and yet they just keep coming out and coming out and coming out, and it was just like it was like a bunch of clowns coming out of a clown car. So the seriousness and the horribleness and evilness of that situation just went away to complete farce, and it lost all emotional impact. Maybe that was the intent, you know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Eki, how do you feel about the weakest part of the movie, if it had one?
Well, I'm pretty sure that you'll, well, yeah, the average response for me is the plot. It's always the plot. It's always the story. I like the concepts. I like a lot of the themes. And while I have my own opinions about the elements of the themes that I do like, weighed against the plot itself, the plot is pretty. It's comprehensible, but it could have been handled better. And I think that this is my own opinion, but I think one of the things that they what would have served the themes better would be a more clean focus on specific characters. And in my opinion, this moves over into, yes, the clown car issue. If they had decided to focus on specific Baxters and make specific Baxters characters that they tried to make both the Baxters and the Rojos villains, so that the Rojos were just generally bad guys, and the Baxters were at the very least complicit and also tacitly bad guys. I don't think they did a good job of showing that with the Baxters. That's my own opinion. And I think that if they had focused on specific Baxters that were genuinely villainous, this would have been a much easier sell. And I don't think they would have had to have gone over the top with all of the slayings and killings near the end. Because they were going more impressionistic. Like, this is the most pretentious thing I'm going to say all week. The plot is almost like a Matisse painting, where you're just splattering concepts, and those concepts, they give you an impression of like, this is a good guy, this is a bad guy, this is, you know, what's happening here, what's happening there, look at how evil they are, or look at how duplicitous these guys are, so on and so forth. And you're like, okay, I get it. But it all seemed, I don't want to say cobbled together in the negative, because it was a coherent plot. It just felt as though it was a little bit rushed, and I feel like it could have been. I think it would have. They would have done well to go through a couple of rewrites and to really hone everything and to focus on specific characters. That's my own opinion. I still like the movie, so it's not like I'm complaining exactly. But you know, again, I am how I am. I'm always going to bitch and moan about the plot, and there's nothing I can do about that.
Nothing wrong with that either, to be fair. Okay, we come to the inevitable. Is there any reviewer going to say with any honesty that they didn't like the soundtrack?
Loved it.
Hated it.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, good.
How dare you, sir?
Well,
Shocking.
hate's a strong word. I disliked the repetition of it. I was begging for any other tune or variation of the one tune. I was done, completely done with that tune.
But there were motifs, weren't there? Because it was like sort of.
Oh yeah. There was motifs, and
the
they were trying to break it down to assign to various characters.
Yeah.
But the constant repetition of that one track was very disappointing, because I had heard that track before and I was expecting more of similar quality, and it just didn't happen. Very disappointing. It was a disappointing soundtrack for me because it had potential to be so much more.
Well, Morricone, I mean, obviously the whistling part, which was the motif part, but Morricone, when they were speaking about doing this, his inspiration was João Rodriguez. So it was a lot of guitar, but he couldn't obviously rip off, what had already been done. So he did quote that originally, and then after that, obviously he did the follow-up films and put a little bit more of his own stamp. But he was taking it from I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one where he goes. So it's that kind of. I will look it up because it'll annoy me. But he took his inspiration, but he didn't want to make it as intricate as that because he thought he would lose the crowd. So I suppose he was sort of thinking to himself, "What can I do that gets the motive going?" But audiences of this was mid-60s, wasn't it? I can't remember exactly. I think 65 or 60. It wasn't. It was. I'm saying it was. It was definitely between 63. I don't. Well.
No, it's. I think it's somewhere between 62 and 67. Somewhere. It's not any later than 67. Sense of
64, apparently. 64.
There you are.
Right. So yeah, that would make sense. So I understand. I can understand the repetition, but you think about the crowd that he's playing to, the way that the film industry and the classic sort of film orchestrators of the time, like Dmitry Tiomkin, the Russian bloke who did High Noon, repetition was king. because it reminded people, this is the good guy. You might not think he is, but he is. That kind of thing. So, but it was quite interesting to hear of Morricone's sort of approach to it, and he thought, I'm sensing, because it's Mexican oriented, or that side, the Mexican border sort of side, this side, the Mexican side of the Mexican border, and he just defaulted to what he thought sounded a bit Mexican, which was this Rodriguez classical piece with the classical guitar, and he tried to recreate that, and then chucked in the odd bit here and there. But like I say, when you get into sort of Once Upon a Time in the West, and particularly The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, for me, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is ba ba ba, that's like, yeah, that's okay. That's probably even I probably like that track less than the main track to A Fistful of Dollars, but the music, which is the track which is called The Ecstasy of the Gold from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, is an absolute classic. It is an absolute classic. So just as John Williams grew with each movie he produced, then Ennio Morricone did the same. But I think he was frightened to sort of step out of the box on a few bits and bobs, because I thought, if I balls this up, I won't get the repeat act. You know what I mean? I won't get the return fee.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. But no, it is repetitive, but that was the way they were taught. Repetition. I mean, now it just becomes boring, but the repetition sort of enforces the character, as it were, and it sort of fits the movie, doesn't it?
I don't want to be rude about it in my interruption here, but the movie Fistful of Dollars was the very first of the. It's called The Man with No Name, but he's called Joe in the movie, so his name is Joe. But we'll just say Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name, because whatever. But for a few dollars more was produced after. A few dollars more was 65. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was like 68 or 69, I think. Hold on, I've got it in front. 66, good heavens. Okay, so 64 was Fistful of Dollars. 65 was a few dollars more. And then 66 was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So this was the first of the Morricone series of soundtracks designed around Clint Eastwood, and the whole movie I think was made for like I think it says $200,000 or something like that. So like it was low budget, and this is the first movie that Clint Eastwood starred in, if I recall correctly. So this was all very like on the low end of the low end. This was like a test flag to see whether or not Clint would even have a career or whatever. So I don't think that they were invested too much. And that's kind of why I give it a pass on plot. That's kind of why I give it a pass on a lot of things, like the little kid crying. That bothered me no end.
Oh, good. That was a pain in the shit.
He was so annoying. So annoying. It's not the boy's fault. It's not the boy's fault.
Anyhow,
yes, it is.
But coming back to the repetitiveness of the music, I actually agree that it is repetitive and that the soundtrack could have been better. I love the little flute associated with Clint, the downward da-da-da-da. I love that. That's one of my favorite elements of the soundtrack. I love that motif, but I do agree that they basically used the same like 4 tracks for the entire movie, and that does kind of suck. I actually agree with that, but I wanted to give it a pass because it was early in the stages of this specific style of movie with a specific set of actors and director and whatever.
Says I wanted to ask you, did you say that it was a Russian composer who did High Noon?
Yes, it was a chap called Dmitry Tiomkin, and he did many film scores, but he was one of the first movie composers who not only scored the music for the film, but also scored the main theme for the film. So "Do Not Forget Me, Oh My Darling," which was sung by Tex Ritter.
Yeah.
Dmitry Tiomkin also wrote that, and that was just to go on a bit further, the next decade into the 60s, that was the way that John Barry used to do the Bond films, because he used to produce the music for each of the Bond films. But up until his final collaboration with the band and doing the Bond films was the Living Daylights. No, not the Living. It was the Living Daylights, which was the band Aha. And he just got fed up because apparently, even though Aha was Swedish, and therefore you think, oh, these young, polite Swedish lads, he had a right royal time with them. He says, yeah, the juice is just not worth the squeeze anymore with these idiot pop bands. Although the movie before that, which was A View to a Kill, which he did with Duran Duran, he said he couldn't fault the guys in the band of Duran Duran, which, if you were to think which band is going to be the most arsey, Duran Duran or Aha, you'd think probably Duran Duran, because they had a bit of a reputation. But he said they were completely 100% professional, and he had an excellent time with those lads. So, like I say, but Dmitry Tiomkin was one of the first people who not only did the scores for the films, but also did, if there was a title track to the movie, he also had a say in that as well. So there was a sort of continuity between the theme tune, if you like, and also the incidental music. So
Sure. It's just that I think that's a great soundtrack overall. That High Noon.
Yeah, it's a great one, yeah.
And Tex Ritter made a great job with the song. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I know Frank. Whoa.
Because I lost the repetition.
It's got Williams' mic. Bloody hell.
William, you're incredibly loud, my friend. Totally distorted. Hello? He's left us.
Probably trying to fix it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that info. I didn't know any of that sensum about High Noon, because it's a soundtrack I actually recorded myself. I always liked it as a song. So it's nice to know these things. So thanks for that. And I think I'm correct in saying that it kind of started a trend in films, did it not? High Noon. This idea of having a song or a piece of music that was very associated with a movie. It seemed to help sales. Mm-hmm. That's just a comment, by the way, folks.
Yeah.
So, do you think the film suffered any for having no romance? Eke?
No. I think it's just fine as it is. And I kind of like that there is the implication that Joe, Clint's character, kind of fancies, oh gosh, what was her name again? Started with an M.
No idea.
Hold on.
Probably Maria if she's Mexican.
Was that?
Probably Maria if she's Mexican.
Marisol.
Thank you very much.
But then he realised she was an unmarried mother, and he said, "Yeah, sod that off." Yeah.
So I like that Joe has no romantic connection with Marisol at all. And he, in some sense, he destroys a town to save her. And he gets nothing out of it other than personal satisfaction of knowing that she is no longer being harmed by Ramon. I kind of like that. I actually think that's pretty cool. So I, oddly enough, think it makes his character stronger and more interesting because he's not doing it for a selfish reason. I think it's cool. So I would say personal opinion. No, I don't think the movie suffers at all. In fact, I think it gains from it, but that's my own opinion.
Sabia, what do you think about that? You think it was better without any romance?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Because too many times you get a film and they shoehorn a romance in, and it, makes the film worse. So it was good there. Obviously, they addressed that Eastwood does indeed have working eyes, and he can see that she's a beautiful woman in this area. So obviously, you will have a look and go, yes, she is beautiful, but I'm not interested. Uh, so it was good that they didn't do that. Wish more films did that.
Snap. Say some of you get any other opinion on this angle of romance, of lack of it?
Yeah, I'm with Sam. It just gets in the way. And I'm not saying if it's a romantic film, then fair enough. But
Sure.
if it's Die Hard didn't shoe in a bit of gratuitous hide the sausage just because they could. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
inclinations of it, but one.
Well, there was the couple that snuck into the room at the very beginning.
Yeah,
For
yeah, yeah.
a hanky panky.
But you didn't see what was going on, and that's the main part of it. But
Well, you did
I
see
was,
the busty chick, though. You saw her bust.
is that the lady whose kid it was?
We're talking
No,
about
this
Die Hard right
the
now, right?
yeah
Oh,
yeah
yeah, the dog.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Die Hard, there's two not incidental characters that appear, and they go into the room where the John McClane and his wife are in, and they're going in there to have a good time at the Christmas party, and then they leave embarrassed.
Oh, so Eki, judging by the comment the job's posted, so was Tiomkin one of them?
Yes, in fact, Tiomkin's father was a
Every
Zionist.
single
So yeah.
time. But anyway, yeah. Moving swiftly on, but yeah, no, I didn't need it. They didn't need it. Funnily enough, just saying the other day, because believe it or not, up until not last weekend, but the weekend before, I hadn't actually watched Stanley Kubrick's film Eyes Wide Shut, and I'd heard so much about it. I thought, I'll give it, and it was basically I got it for $1.99 on Amazon Prime. I thought, yeah, well, I'll give it a watch, and I thought the film was okay. It was just for me. Now that you know about these things, but you probably didn't back when was it 99 or something when that was made. Things like Bohemian Grove. I thought, oh, this is like a depiction of the old Bohemian Grove. But it was, it was a bit one of those Rudy films, shall we say? And I suppose you could say, yeah, well, that was part of that film, but yeah, no, I'm not. It's films where and this wasn't one of those films. Fistful. I don't think any of the trilogy, the Man with No Name trilogy, had any kind of gratuitous. They might have had some very pretty ladies in there, but I don't think they had any very gratuitous scenes in there. But there are certain films where it's it's really going great and it's going everything, and then all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever, they just chuck in this prolonged bloody, you know, getting down to the business, shall we say, scene, just
Yeah.
for the sake of chucking it in, because they think, oh, let's pander to the lowest common denominator here. You know, it's a bit like, it's a bit like doing the film that you picked, John, recently, 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
And then while they're having a break, Egg Begley going and shafting the student nurse in the toilets just for a bit of why? Why? What's it adding? What's it adding to the film? Nothing. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm probably just an old sort of Victorian dad type these days, so it doesn't really
Well, to me, that's a question I always asked. If I'm watching a film that isn't billed as a romance and romance in it, I then start asking myself, what is the purpose of the romance? Is it doing anything? Is it pushing the narrative forward? Is there some reason it's there? Or is it just there to draw in audiences?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or the worn out bit on Basic Instinct that comes to mind, but
Yeah,
the worn out VHS videotape. Yeah, but I mean, it's like but that was part of the film, wasn't it? Because she was, a sort of a bisexual nymphomaniac. So not having it in on that particular instance, it was expected, but it's when they just chuck it in. So the fact that they didn't just chuck it in for the sake of it, a bonus. Yeah.
Well, that's what I feel. I feel that if you're watching a movie that's telling a story, regardless of the story that it's telling, if there's romance involved in it, then there has to be a reason why that romance is there. It's either crucial to the character's development or crucial to the plot development. It just can't exist simply to show us a bit of flesh. Otherwise, it serves no useful purpose. It may as well not be there. And westerns is a very good genre for that. Very rarely do you get romance, and when you get it, it's very rarely in the bedroom. Anyway, moving on.
And I think with this film, given what's been said about it, if that was ever considered, they simply didn't have any time to film it, and time and money. If it ever appeared in any sort of draft, it would have been like, no, toss that.
Well, I think that's right, because the story just races along faster than those horses. They hardly take time to catch their breath. That's what I felt about the story. And I hadn't seen it before last night either. So there you go. So I take it everyone's in agreement that the director was a good director and made a good job of what he was doing. Start with you, Eke.
Well, yeah. Like, everyone copies his style to this day. Everyone wants to be Sergio Leone. You watch any Quentin Tarantino movie, and the first thing you'll notice is that he's aping Sergio Leone. It's just how it is. And yeah, Sergio's use of close-ups was absolutely awesome, just fantastic. he would give close-ups to like side characters, which was basically unheard of. And I thought it was great because it gives kind of a gravity to scenes um, that you wouldn't otherwise get. It's hard to explain. He just had a really good command of drawing your attention to things that would uh, carry along a concept or an idea to be paid off later. You'll see all kinds of setups. The barrel scene where he kicks the barrel down on top of what is his name, like Tico, I think. Whatever, it doesn't matter. When he's beaten up and imprisoned or whatever, and then a couple of guys come in to rough him up again. He cracks a giant barrel on top of them, but they set that up 2 times over previously because they mentioned that the Baxters and the Rojos, they sell guns and liquor. So you're setting up the fact that the Rojos are liquor peddlers just by dialogue, and then when Joe, the man with no name, Clint, goes into the storage area, he just starts knocking on drums. You just see drums full of liquor, and so he sets up that big giant cask being thrown onto those guys to kill him, and then you know that it's alcohol, so they even set up the fact that it's going to get set on fire, which allows him to escape. The thing is that that constant drawing, or rather the constant pointing towards something that will get a payoff later, absolutely fantastic. Sergio Leone, yeah, okay, fine. Are there elements of Fistful of Dollars that aren't that great? Oh, of course. I mean, I could go on at length about the things that I think aren't that perfect or whatever, or little flaws here and there. I could go on at length, but that kind of doesn't matter. I mean, the movie is fairy tale is a strong word, but it's a yarn. You know, he's telling you a story, and it's kind of it's kind of nonsense, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's really, really, really entertaining the way that he does it. And I think that like he knows, Sergio Leone knew how to tell a story in a compelling way. Yeah, I think he's a really good director. He is aped and copied to this day for a reason. Okay, I'm done yammering about it.
Have you, or has any of the reviewers seen a film called The One-Eye Jacks? Apart from B, that is.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Right. Well, The One-Eye Jacks is stars and is directed by The Godfather. Believe it or
Brando.
not. Brando, yes. And I bring it up because,
Holy cow, Slim Pickens is in that movie. Awesome.
well,
I don't know. Is that the one with
Slim Pickens was a really famous actor back in like the 1960s
Yep.
and 70s. He played a bunch of cowboys.
I'm not thinking of him. I'm thinking of old Streets of San Francisco bloke, not
yes, he's there.
Michael Douglas,
anyhow,
the other one
I'm
with the
sorry.
big nose.
Carl
Cutting
Malden.
off
Carl
John.
Malden.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the Coaster.
Was he in that one? Was
He's
that
a
the one with him
co-star.
in it?
Yeah,
He played like sort of his treacherous mate, didn't he?
correct.
Yeah, yeah. I recollect. It's been a long time, but I recollect it faintly. Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because Eki was talking about secondary characters or almost just extras being photographed in a particular way by the director. Well, if you go and look at One-Eye Jack, you will see that Brando is well, you won't see it, but Brando has directed every single person that's on the set, whether they speak or not. He gives every person, every actor has got some bit of business to do, so that when we see a seed, like a saloon seed, there's guys in the back and they're actually playing cards and they're actually speaking to each other, etc., etc. He goes to all that bother because he comes from that school of acting. And it shows up. So I've just drawn your attention, Eki, to the fact that I had seen this approach before, and that's where I saw it. But I haven't seen it done by very many people. But Brando did it when he got the chance with that film, Moray Jacks. It's a very good Western.
I might just check that one out tonight after we've concluded our stream.
It's a very good Western. I don't have it in my collection though, but it is I enjoyed it, and it's got a good cast, slightly different story to be told.
Yeah, it's also got Sam Peckinpah. He contributed to some of the writing, so it should have some at least entertainment value to it somewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there you go. Try it out if you haven't seen it, folks. Are you all right now, William? I don't know what happened to your sound, but it just went crazy.
Yeah, my laptop updated midstream.
Lovely.
I don't know what you're laughing at, Sensum. By the way, who is Sensum? Who is this guy? When did he join the panel? It's like a stranger. And what's the name of that film? One-Eyed Jacks. Yeah, that sounds like a movie that Sensum would watch. So I'm not surprised he's seen it.
I'm certain I have seen it because, like I say, I remember the part I remember is that Carl
Malden.
Wasn't he nominated for an Oscar or something as well in that film? Because he played a really good part, but he was an absolute git in it. He was like, because he was his best mate. He just traitor, wasn't he? He was like,
yeah.
But he played a good traitor.
It starts with them robbing a bank. That's where it starts. And of course, they get chased with this large posse, and they end up on the top of a hill, surrounded. And Carl Malden said that he'll go for the horses. He'll go for horses, fresh horses, and come back. Of course, he never comes back. He leaves them up on the mountain to run out of bullets and water, what have you. So, yeah, that was the character he plays. That was the start.
Side note to everything that John just said, William, this movie that he's speaking about is in color and with sound. I promise you would actually be able to watch
it. Yes, William, it's quite modern, actually. But there's stuff in it that you will not see in other Westerns.
Yeah, I'm sure I read that this movie itself is a remake of a film.
With the one we're talking about?
Fistful of Dollars. Is it some Japanese type thing, remake type?
So I don't know if the director can get that much credit if it's a remake.
Yeah, but was it a remake in the essence of Magnificent Seven, which was like some Japanese? It was the Seven Samurai, wasn't it? The Japanese version.
Yeah.
Luke, it's still a remake, okay?
Well, in fairness, Leone said when he was approached to do this, he took a lot of inspiration from some of the works of the likes of John Sturges and who was the other one? Not John Huston, the other guy. We mentioned him earlier. Did the Searchers? What was he called?
Ford.
John Ford. That's it. Yeah. But he was for the gunfight scenes. He particularly liked. I'm certain he mentioned he liked the Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas gunfight at OK Corral, which was a John Sturges film. So these unrealistic sort of, every 6-shooter has 40 bullets in it, and and you could shoot the wings off a gnat at 300 yards, that kind of thing. Which was good. I didn't, like I say, you got to take it with a pinch of salt. Especially when you're a kid, when you're a young kid, you believe in this stuff. It's like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could hit that. I could hit that rope from 600 yards away as well with a Colt 45.
I just got to throw this out there. Every time I see that element within these movies, it drives me up the wall because that is not how guns work. The thing is,
well, Clint Eastwood, believe it or not, Clint Eastwood, I think he held something like one of the fastest draw competitions or something when he was later on, because he was a bit of a gun nut, and so all the stuff that you saw him in Magnum Force, where they were doing those shooting trials, he used to actually do that competitively, and he's also a hell of a jazz pianist. Just throwing that in there for a bit of spice as well, but.
At one time, Jerry Lewis was Top Gun in Hollywood.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, he went in for all that fast gun draw stuff.
Yeah, but Clint Eastwood, when he did the film, one of my favorite westerns, which is Unforgiven. There's a very particular scene in there where he basically walks into this pub and there's a load of blokes with guns, and they're literally sort of 6 yards away from each other. And he goes in with a shotgun, and when he fires the shotgun, it doesn't go off. And so then he pulls out his 45, and they're sort of basically, and they couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo, because literally when you see these films where it's like a face-off, a duel sort of thing, and you see them sort of 40 yards. Neither of them would have hit each other because the guns were so inaccurate. You literally had to be almost in handshaking distance for them to make to be any use. Do you know what I mean? So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So yeah. Like I say, those unbelievable, but when you're a kid, it's mint in it, because the baddies are just a rubbish shot and the goodies are always excellent marksmen.
Yeah, I noticed that every time Clint goes for a bunch of kills all at once, he just quick draws everybody. But when he actually fires his gun, he does it at hip level, so he's not aiming. So it's like, wait, what? You're just pulling out your gun, you're pulling the trigger, and the shots just magically happen to hit what you wanted them to hit. Like, settle down, guys.
So now you know, Eke, who was on the grassy knoll that day.
Yeah.
Had to be him. Had to be Clint. Right. Is there anyone apart from Clint you would pick out as being particularly effective in the role that he was given? And we'll start with William.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't think he was in it.
Was the guy, what is it, Romero? Was that his name?
I don't know.
Well, I've only watched it the once.
There were so many of it.
He was like the head leader of the sort of Mexican tribe. He was about the only other person that stood out for me, and I can't even remember his name. Ramon, that's the one.
Yes.
I thought he played the part quite well, to be honest. But just on it being a remake, it was actually, I mean, it must have been quite close because the Japanese company sued them, and they won, so they got a certain percentage of the rights to the film. So it must have been pretty close to the story. But yeah, I think the guy Romero or Romano, whatever his name is, he was the guy that, apart from Clint, that stood out. Although his sort of sidekick pal that he had that sort of followed him about, he done all right, but I expected a wee bit more from him as well. He wasn't the greatest of actors, to be honest, in my view. But hey, what do I know?
Well, you know what you like. Put it that way. What would you say, Samuel? Was there anyone who would have sort of stood out above the crowd for you?
I like the female Baxter character. She seemed to have something about her that I wanted to know more, to have her on screen more, because she had a strong presence, I felt. Um, and obviously, she led that family. She was the power behind that family. But we didn't, we got introduced to her very, very late on. And she wasn't in enough for me, sadly. So I wanted more from her. And it would also echo that Ramon was probably the next interesting character.
Cecil, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm sticking with my coffin maker. I thought he had a good role, and he was a bit funny as well because he had the odd little sort of cheeky interlude, like the first thing he goes, yeah, there's no business here. That this entire town is dead, and then you hear, boom, 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 and Clint Eastwood goes, well, I guess not everybody is not working here, and he opens the door and it's a coffin maker. And he goes, don't worry, he'll know what size you are just by looking at you for your coffin. I thought that was pretty good. And like I say, that coffin maker, because he had quite a, on a couple of occasions, had some instrumental parts to the entire thread of the story, especially when he smuggles him away to recover from his beating that he got off Ramon's men. I'll stick with it. I'll stick with the old coffin maker. I thought he played a good part. Even though, like I say, it's the most crazy thing going. That this bloke's got an endless tap of custom.
But who pays him though? Who pays him?
Well, obviously he's getting paid off Clint because Clint asked for 3 coffins to start with, and then he gets 4. So maybe it's the state. Maybe it's the state.
It's
maybe
the widows.
Yeah.
It's all the widows, the former wives of the husbands that get killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when he runs out of business, maybe there's another sort of side chain sequel of The Undertaker where he becomes a serial killer just to drum up enough business to survive. Because like at the end, like literally the entire town has been decimated because there's nobody left standing. Clint Eastwood's buggering off, and there's only the tavern owner and the coffin maker left, and they're ringing this bell. Like, yeah, come out, town folk, everything's safe. And it's like, there's not another soul in sight. It wasn't like you saw them all like running out from these little outhouses and not going, oh, we've been saved. There's no more violence in our beautiful little pueblo. Ooh. It's like, no, it was like crickets. And he's like, yeah, we've all saved. And then you see the smile on the coffin maker's face go, hold on a minute. I've got no business here.
Time for a move. Okay, I've got a slightly silly question to ask. Were you all convinced that this was Mexico and not somewhere else? Start with you, Eke.
Well, because I know the history of the movie and because I live geographically near enough to Mexico that I may as well live in Mexico, no, it doesn't look like Mexico. It looks like an approximation of Mexico. So, no.
So that's
Also,
Boston, yeah?
what's that?
That's Boston then, yeah?
I would say, well, okay. All right, all right. Joking aside, I want to come back real quick though to the concept of Yojimbo. If you watch the movie Yojimbo, you will notice that the end of that movie is near shot for shot Fistful of Dollars. Number one, number two. One of my favorite elements of Yojimbo, the main character, Yojimbo. I think it means like 30. He's a 30-year-old guy, so Yojimbo, 30, whatever. And played by Toshiro Mifune. And if you look at Mifune's wardrobe in the movie Yojimbo, when he's walking along, he carries his arms in such a way that they're not seen. He folds his arms into his sleeves so that you don't see his arms. And Clint Eastwood, I am convinced that the poncho that he wears is actually intended to be reminiscent of Yojimbo's costume so that you don't see his arms. And side note to that, Clint Eastwood purchased his poncho on Rodeo Drive before he went to go film the movie. He only had that one freaking poncho for the whole movie, so there was no replacing it.
Wow.
So I think he must have seen Yojimbo, liked the costume, purchased a poncho in reference to it, and then just used it for the whole movie. And then Sergio was like, "Oh yeah, it's cool, do that." All right, that's all. It's a funny trivia thing, and the
Yeah,
movie
well,
Yojimbo.
it's unusual when you
What's
think that if costumes are usually supplied by the company making the movie rather than
Yes.
performers buying their own.
Well, but this is in 1964. This was Clint Eastwood's first starring role,
Yeah,
and like Sergio Leone was not Sergio Leone at the time. No one knew who that guy was back in 1964. Sergio Leone did not become a household name until some years later. So all of it was very like low budget, low key, gambles on absolutely everything. And these kinds of things do happen sometimes. Like, for example, the movie Rushmore 1998 by Wes Anderson, starring Bill Murray and Jason Schwartzman and that one British chick that everyone liked in the early 2000s. The when
Liz
Jason
Hurley?
Schwartz, what's that?
Liz Hurley?
No, not Elizabeth Hurley. She was a lesser known. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So when Wes Anderson was doing a call for auditions, Jason Schwartzman, he showed up in a blazer, and he put the letter R on the blazer. So his audition, he made his own costume to reference the movie, and he got into character like before he was even there using a costume. For better or worse, crazy actors making their own costumes, smuggling in their own weird performances is extremely common for the ones that are high level and entertaining. And I mean, Clint Eastwood basically made an entire career out of being Clint Eastwood. So I don't see the costume thing as being anything but like standard fare. Like, yes, he was trying, he was putting effort into the role, and I honestly suspect that Sergio was like, "Yep, that's cool, do it. All right, rolling, let's go." That's what I imagine.
it's not something I've personally heard a lot of over the years. Performers buying their own outfits, buy them after the show. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Different actors buy their costumes for all sorts of reasons, but not before. Just curious, that's all. I like that sort of info. It's not usually covered in magazines and books, so it's good to pick that kind of stuff up.
Yeah. Also note that Rodeo Drive back in like 1963 was not the rodeo drive that we enjoy today. So it
I'm
actually would have
sure.
been somewhat comprehensible to see a poncho like that on rodeo drive back in those days.
Well, like Sunset Boulevard isn't today what it
What
once was.
was it? We've got a bit of a quiz going on in the chat now. Do you think it was Mini Driver Eki? Was it her?
No, not Mini Driver. Oh,
Keira Knightley?
no, hold on.
Kate
I have to look her
Winslet?
up. Hold on.
Kate Twinset?
Nope. She was a lesser known actor relative to all the big names, but she had a minor career for a while. I'm trying to find her name. Why can't I find it? Why am I an idiot? Hold on. Rosemary Olivia Williams.
Olivia
Her name
Williams?
is Olivia
Oh,
Williams,
doesn't ring a
and she
bell,
had a
to be
minor
honest.
career for a little. She was the wife in The Sixth Sense, 1999 Sixth Sense, and she had a couple of other roles. Oh yeah, she was in The Postman the year before Rushmore, and she had like one or two other roles that were notable, but I can't recall what they were.
Never
Anyway,
heard the name.
what's that?
The name means nothing to me, to be honest.
Yeah, like I say, like for a minute, she was a notable actor in certain circles, but literally for just like a minute.
No, it's not. It's not a name. It's not a name where you say it and I immediately conjure up an image. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
They must be your fantasies, Eki. So.
yeah, but there are lots of these. Like, gosh, what was I was watching this one movie called The Way of the Gun,
Way
and
of the Gun.
yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, that
And
sounds familiar as well.
okay, so The Way of the Gun stars Ryan Philippe and Benicio del Toro. Everyone
Mm,
knows who Benicio del Toro is. No one knows who
yeah.
Ryan Philippe is. No one.
No,
And
not
the
offhand,
same
no.
thing. What's that?
Not offhand. I would have to look him up again, but I know Benicio del Toro is, yeah.
Ryan Philippe, he's another one of these types of actors where for just a minute, for like a couple of years, he was not the talk of the town, but like he was a notable actor and people were wondering if he was going to go somewhere or whatever. And yeah, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, same thing. Ryan Philippe almost had a career, had a couple of notable movies, and then for one reason or another, just no one knows about the guy. Like, Juliette Lewis is a bigger actor than Ryan Philippe. And you're like, all right, okay.
Well, you see, the thing is, I can remember exactly who Juliette Lewis is, so she must
What's
be.
that?
I know exactly who Juliette Lewis is, so it must be.
Yeah. And same thing, like, well, whatever. There are tons of these actors. I have no idea why I thought of the topic now that I think about it. Okay, I'm going to settle down now.
Not only are we in a cul-de-sac, but we're in a cul-de-sac up a hill. I don't know how we got into this conversation at all.
Yeah, talking about obscure actors that almost had careers but totally don't. Yeah.
Well, there's probably a whole show in that. We could go on forever on that one. So, just to round this up, because I don't think there's much more that can be said on the subject of a Fistful of Dollars. So, does anyone know if this film picked up any awards?
You know, I have no idea.
No, I'm drawing a blank on. I'd have to Thickypedia that one. as I call it, Thickipedia. No, I honestly don't know. Maybe it's the outstanding score that Samuel likes. Maybe
I didn't dislike the score. There was just not enough of it.
yeah. No, I couldn't tell you, John. To be honest, I don't know. But it must have had some kind of, if not critical acclaim, box office acclaim, because they wouldn't have continued to make another sort of half a dozen, even to the point where, was it Once Upon a Time in America? Sergio Leone did with Harvey Keitel, and
Yeah.
was that another? Was that
Once
De
Upon a
Niro in
Time
that
in the
one?
West.
No, there was Once Upon a Time in America that Leone did. Sergio Leone did as well.
Oh,
It
really?
was
Okay, so there's one called Once Upon a Time in America, and also another one called Once Upon a Time in the West.
yeah. So Once Upon a Time in the West is sort of the classical spaghetti western with Henry Fonda and I believe
Yeah, you're right.
what's he called? The bloody
Yeah.
revenge bloke. You're gonna have to help me out now. Death Wish guy.
Oh,
Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson, yes. So Bronson was it, because that was the one with that was the harmonica guy. That was the that was the Once Upon a Time in the West. But Once Upon a Time in America was Sergio Leone's sort of homage to Once Upon a Time in the West, but it was filmed in, I think, like New York, Brooklyn, the Bronx, that kind of thing. But it was gangster based, and I think it was Harvey Keitel. Was it De Niro in it? I can't remember. It's been so long.
Yeah, Robert De
Yeah.
Niro,
Yeah.
James
Yeah.
Woods,
Yeah.
Joe
Yeah,
Pesci,
Woods is in it. Yeah,
Jennifer Connelly is in there. A bunch of names.
Jennifer
I watched
Connelly.
it.
Really?
It went on for hours. I'm sure it was about
Yeah.
3 hours long, and it seemed too
Yeah,
long.
it's close to 4. Yeah, close to 4 hours film. Yeah.
Bloody hell. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that one as well. But yeah, that was a Leone film.
Oh,
As far as the awards question, as far as I can see, there's no awards, but it took in. It was a budget of, it's mentioned, 200,000, and apparently it took in the region of $14.5 million.
Which in them days, that's like big
Yeah.
money, isn't it?
Big money. Yeah, big money.
Hence why all of the spin-offs.
Yeah, and a quick
Do you
turnaround
know,
on them as well.
Yeah. Because there was a few dollars more. Was that the one? I mean, because Eli Wallach and Lee Van Cleef were definitely in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Were they in the second one as well, or was it just Eastwood again in the second one? I can't remember.
No idea.
It's been so long since I've watched this trilogy of films, and yet I've seen all three, but I just can't recollect.
I
remember
the last
one of
time
them.
I watched these movies was like a decade ago, so
I remember one of them. Was it the second one where one of the, not the main baddie, but one of his henchmen used to drop ball bearings in his shoes, and he used to sort of flick his foot and like flick ball bearings into people's faces and shit like that. Which one was that? That was, I tell you what, I think that must have been a few dollars more, because I can't remember that one in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Because, like I say, the main protagonists in that one were Wallach and Lee Van Cleef, and then you get the standoff at the graveyard at the end where they play the Ecstasy of the Gold music, which is one of my favorite Morricone tracks at the end. But yeah, that stood out to me, because I used to think to myself, hold on a minute, you got a bloke with a gun. Even when I was a kid, I used to question these things. So you got a bloke with a steel ball bearing that he drops into the toe end of his shoe. And, you got a bloke with a gun, and this bloke can pull his gun, and yet this bloke can do this like taekwondo kick that flicks this ball bearing, and like he kills him dead straight all the time. He beats the gunshot every time. King Frat, yeah, I've seen King Frat, King Frat, King Frat, do. Yeah, that was of the time of like Porky's and What was the other one that was out around about that time? National Lampoons, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that one. King Frat. It's the one where, you know, the sponge ball trick where you make the sponge balls disappear like a magician. And he opens up his hand and he's got, instead of, because I've got 2 balls here, and he makes them disappear, and then he comes back and there's a girl there and he says, look, I've got 2 balls. And then he goes like, and it's 2 balls and then like a willy foam as well.
See why you like it then.
I don't know. It was, I mean, crikey O'Reilly, that's got to be what? Late 70s, early 80s, King Frat. Yeah. I can't even remember it. I don't even think anybody of note was in that film, but I do remember it.
I don't think anyone of note saw that film.
Apart from me, clearly. But
oh dear, I tell you.
let my knowledge of King Frat colour the judgment of the voting later.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think at this point it's time that, as the host, I asked
Do we not do a wee score? No.
Oh yeah, well we usually do that. Well, we'll do that now. Okay, let's do that now. So starting with Eki, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, what would you give a fistful of dollars?
I liked it, but I'm also going to be as realistic in my score as I can possibly be. The nostalgia part of me says 7.5, but realistically it's probably a 7.
7.
7 out of 10.
Fair enough.
I liked it a lot. I always come back to the same thing over and over and over again. Weak plot always bothers me. It just rankles me. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm easily disappointed in everything, and that's terrible for me. Like, that sucks for me. So whatever. But it's still, like, it's enjoyable. Like, I can't say otherwise. Like, I watched it. I liked it. I still love that weird... Yeah, one of my favorite elements of that movie, oddly enough, was the peculiar mannerisms of Clint Eastwood. Like, he had a lot of them, and they were peculiar. And one of my favorites was when Ramon is saying that he wants to have the Baxters over for dinner. And then Joe, Clint Eastwood's character, says that he's going to leave before the dinner takes place because he doesn't think the Baxters would care for his presence. And he looks at Ramon and he repositions his cigar using only his mouth, not his hands. And the way that he stares down Ramon and then repositions his cigar, it's very weird. It looks really hostile and aggressive. And I always thought that was like a funny little flourish. And like, it's just little details like that. But the movie is full of weird little details like that that I absolutely love. So, like, it's great. It's a fun watch. But, yeah, like, outside of Clint's character, like, the other characters are almost like placeholders. You know, they exist almost as a backdrop against which the main character is causing events to happen. So it's almost like he's playing chess with himself in a way. And I think that's kind of unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more in terms of like a proper villain that he's really vying against. But in the end, the movie is almost like divine retribution or divine judgment rendered through the mysterious man. So if you look at it from a certain standpoint, you've got a town besieged by the Baxters and the Rojos, both of which are bad clans. They're both doing bad things, killing lots of people, so on and so forth. The Rojos, they're very obviously the bad guys, and the Baxters are complicit at the very least. You'll notice that the lead Baxter guy, he's the sheriff of the town, so he's basically allowing all the bad things to happen. So he's a really bad sheriff, a really, really bad sheriff. And you can almost look at Clint's character as sort of judgment descending upon the town and then leaving once the judgment has been rendered, which sadly results in just rank death and destruction everywhere. Like the town is burned and half the people are just murdered in the streets, you know. So it's not exactly the best of things to, you know, like, I, yeah, all of that aside, like it's entertaining. It's still entertaining, even though I do find lots of faults in it. It's still entertaining. So that's why, you know, for myself, I think that thematically it's amusing. I think that as a first effort by Clint Eastwood in his career, it's fantastic. As an early Morricone and Sergio Leone film, it's pretty freaking good. Like everyone copies it to this day, so I think it's great, and that's why I think a 7 is a reasonable score. Why did I prattle on for so long? Anyhow, okay, I'm done.
It's just the way you are. William, out of 10, what would you give this film?
Ooh. I think I'm going to have to be the same, a 7. I don't think I can go any higher than that, to be honest. And yeah, for Clint's first big job, pretty good. It said he only got 15,000 for it, which I thought was quite. I guess yeah, it was in the 60s, but didn't seem very much, to be fair. And I know a lot got said about the squint that he had, but seemingly that was because of the lighting was so bright, so he could hardly see. So that's why he had
I can
a squint.
understand that. Anytime I was in Spain, that's how I was. I had to wear
So
sunglasses almost all the time.
yeah, they said due to the sun and the studio lighting as well, he could basically not see, so he squinted his face quite a lot, and but people liked that. So it's funny how stuff turns out. But there was a line that stood out for me the whole film, and it was near the beginning, and a guy comes up to him when he comes into town, and he says, "You'll get rich here, or you will be killed." And I thought that was great. It sort of epitomized the whole film for me. So I'm gonna say a 7. I thought the music was great, and I was sort of it had me hooked from the very beginning, and I was surprised at that, to be fair. So I'm gonna give it a 7, a good solid 7.
Very good. By the way, just going back to the cigar thing, if you watch carefully, you'll see him do that quite a lot, moving the cigar around without using his hands. It's quite interesting. Did I ask you, Samuel, what would you give it?
No, you've not asked me yet.
Well, I'm asking you now.
Okay. I'm going to be upsetting people. I'm going to say it's a 4 for me.
Okay.
Ooh.
Would you like to expand on that?
It took a long time to get going. I was bored rigid for the first half hour. The soundtrack annoyed me. The dubbing, obviously, was another thing that annoyed me. And I appreciate its importance in the cinema world and what it did for him and the director, and obviously the composer, and obviously its huge influence. But as a film, it doesn't quite hold up. It's below average for me.
Very good. Okay, well, that leaves you said some. I know you put it in the chat, but let's hear you say it. Out of 10.
I wanted to put it in the chat just so people didn't think I was following on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because when you came to Eki first, I thought, well, I'm thinking a 7. So I'll drop that in the chat now so I can't sort of be... So if Eki had said a 9 and everybody else had said a 1, I'm setting out my stall. so I wouldn't be. Yeah, I like I say for
Copying.
me, you go on, mate. Sorry,
You're just copying us.
nah, no. I'll call it out for what it is, mate. Like I say, but well, what was that one that you picked, Eki? That Russian one, that weird one, where they had to go to that special place.
Oh yeah,
Stalker.
Yeah, when I first started watching that, I said, "Yeah, this is a 1 from me." And then at the end, I thought I think it gave it something like an 8 or a 9 because it was I've been totally transformed. But when it started, I was like, "Yeah, this is shite." So it just goes to show you. But no, for me. I would say that all three films rank 7 or above, but less than 9. So I would probably, if I was doing it incrementally, I would probably put this one as 7, the next one 7.5, and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is an 8. If I was being fair, we may well review them, and I may well rewatch them and decide differently. But yeah, that I thought across the boards it was worth a 7. It was entertaining. The characters were good, what were in there, although most of the characters were like, fluff characters, as you would say. But yeah, it was, I imagine it was, it was kind of thing that people were looking for, because there hadn't really been a lot of sort of anti-hero roles. Probably since what was the one that you picked, the Gunfighter, John? I think that was probably the last of the anti-heroes, which was early 50s. So it had been a good sort of 10 years between then and now. So I think people resonated with the fact, because obviously America was sort of in the burgeonings, although it had been going on for a little while longer than that, in the burgeonings of the Vietnam War. So the notion of the anti-hero was becoming a lot more popular. Yeah. So, the old notion of evil men can sometimes do good things and good men can sometimes do evil things, that kind of conflict was becoming more prevalent in the movie industry at around about that time. So, yeah, I'm happy with us giving it a 7. What about yourself, mate?
Well, I only watched it for the first time last night. And the first thing that struck me is the dubbing was absolutely terrible, I thought. But I don't know if that's something to do with when the film was made or not, because I don't know enough about the technicalities of that. But it just didn't work. And I also didn't think it stood the test of time, to be fair. Whereas some of the other westerns and other dramas that were made in that same time period have stood the test of time better than this film. So if I were getting pushed into a corner to give it a score of any kind, I don't think I can go any higher than 6.5, to be honest. And I know that kind of goes against the grain because it's held in such high esteem. And for some people,
well, I think if you saw it, like I say, I think if you saw it as a kid, because it has that nostalgia element, I think you're going to rank it slightly higher if you'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
Based on what's gone, since then. So if you're coming to this one, so literally 60 years, is it? Since that film was made. So,
it's got to be
1964, 2024, that's 60 years, isn't it?
Yes.
So I saw it probably early 80s. So that was sort of less than 20 years after it had been made. So it was still, and obviously the nostalgia there is because my dad really enjoyed it. So I have a little bit of
Sure.
Transference of love for the films, for the series. So that's obviously going to colour my judgment. So, but coming into it fresh, I can understand that completely. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. That had I seen it when it first arrived, I probably have different views on it now. But I had,
Likewise.
yeah, I think the other problem that I, I can identify here is to do with my age, and that is all the films that were made at that time all had this unrealistic quality to the sound dubbing. The soundtrack never seemed to be part of the film. It always seemed psychologically to have been the film was made and then this soundtrack was sort of layered on the top. And when you listen to it, it kind of came over that way. If you get the point I'm making. Not just with the music, but with when the characters spoke, it seemed a little unrealistic, as though that voice wasn't there when the guy said that. Now, if you listen to an overdub today, well, it's completely different. It's very realistic. It's very believable if it's done properly. And I've heard or seen a few movies that are made in the modern era, which are obviously dubbed, and they don't have that problem that those earlier films had. And they really did have them. It's not just the one we're talking about.
Okay, I'm going to come to the film's defense, and I'm going to say that the awful dubbing is a part of its charm.
Okay, I get that. I understand that. Yeah, sure.
But you're right, it's just awful. The dubbing is just terrible. I agree with that.
But it's not any worse than any other film at that time that was dubbed. That's my point. It's just the process was not very good.
Oh,
However, it was done.
yeah, I just realized that speaking to the idea that if you saw the movie when you were a kid, there's going to be nostalgia points to it. And I saw Fistful, I saw the Dollars trilogy back when I was going through a film kick. I just wanted to watch a bunch of movies that were classics for one reason or another. And because I am a child of the 90s, I grew up watching Quentin Tarantino movies. And what does Quentin Tarantino love? He likes to ape Sergio Leone. Oh, who's that one guy that did Body Double? And also the movie Carrie. I can't remember his name, whatever. There's a particular director who's kind of a hack, but is beloved by Quentin Tarantino. It doesn't matter. And Fistful of Dollars, Tarantino apes that style, and the deliberate use of bad dubbing and really weird mismatched sounds to the visuals. I'm very familiar with that. And as where Tarantino would have done that as a stylistic choice, Sergio Leone was doing all of this because he just didn't have a budget, and he didn't have the level of professionalism that you would have had in Hollywood. So he was throwing together the best movie that he could with what he had. So it's just not that great.
Do you mean the original Carrie?
Yeah, the original Carrie.
So Brian De Palma, who did
Brian De Palma,
Scarface.
thank you. Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Anyhow, just there's it's hard to explain, but I actually do agree. I had to watch the movie with subtitles so that I could follow the dialogue because it's just so weird. The mismatch between the voices and the words and the visuals and everything is just sort of off.
Yeah, at one point early on, I thought we might have to do that ourselves. I thought I was going to get asked for that.
Well, yeah, I'm willing to go with it, but I also I kind of like obviously I like weird movies anyways, so all of the flaws and bullcrap, like I somehow end up liking it for some reason. But whatever. Anyhow, the thing is that my perspective comes from a nostalgia point of view. The only reason that I can handle it is because I like that it's bad. Like that is itself a draw
Yeah.
to me. So that's very weird. But anyhow,
Oh, I get it. I do. I get that. I knew this would set a few people back, my criticism, but the dubbing was what I would expect in any film made at that point in time, because they were all bloody saying awful, awful. It all sounded awful.
I had watched it with subtitles, and I mean, I can't compare it, but I think that did help because I only noticed the dubbing being off at certain times. But there was a scene I really liked where they got the two dead guys and put them at the grave. I
Uh-huh.
thought that was great, and the speaking then wasn't so on screen, so I was only reading the subtitles. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe subtitles would be the way to go.
Okay. I think we've squeezed it dry, folks. So, people in the chat, our audience, I want you to vote for the top reviewer of tonight's show. Who would you vote? That's a wrong jumping.
Need a drum roll.
Yeah, that's it. We need a drum roll, William.
It can't be Sansom. He's missed the last two. He should be fucking minus points.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Right. Let me tell you now. Form is temporary, but class is permanent. You can put a poll in the chat, John. But I mean that I never know how to do them. Have you ever done a poll in the chat? I don't know how to do them bloody things. Takes me all the time to type a comment.
It was just a thought that passed through my mind this week. I wonder if we could do something like that, But never mind. It's your choice, Lex, is it not? Sansom.
Oh, let me have a quick checky. Let me have a look. Hold on a minute. I've got a.
It was Zeki did the last one.
Yeah, I've got a. I'm just making sure I'm not. Because I wasn't here, was I? So.
No.
Hold on a minute. Let me just share. There you go. That's where we stand at the minute. I don't know if you want to plonk that up. Yeah, it is. Well, only because I missed, so yeah, it will be me, won't it? Yeah. So what have I got? I've got biopic, document. Oh, I do like a good documentary. Fantasy. I might pick fantasy just to get William off the hook. Horror and sport. Although there is a really, if I can find a source for it, there is a really good sports flick that I might have chosen. To be honest with you, I didn't even know it was going to be me. I was just going to chuck this up on the screen just so we could see where we stood. So I will stop sharing. I will have a little think.
Yes.
And I will let you know, and then as soon as I know, I'll make sure that, as William says, with me being the backbone of YouTube, even though I haven't been on, apart from his Bartsy Brell stream. Oh yeah, I was good enough for that, wasn't I? Oh yeah, I was very respectful on that stream. Asked some good questions as well. It's a good stream. That really enjoyed
You
it.
did, yep.
And if you haven't watched that stream on William's channel, That's Life But Not As We Know It with Bartsy Brell, that was a really good stream. So give that stream a little bit of love, because has Bart stuck it up on his site yet? Do you know?
He's got it. It's scheduled to go up tomorrow.
Yeah, Yeah, it was a good stream. I enjoyed that one. I'll have a little think. I'll have a look at what categories are remaining. I thought I got skipped, you see. So I was
No,
expecting one of you guys to pick up the slack.
no.
But I'll have a little think and I'll pick something that's silent film, black and white from the 1910s, just especially for William. Yeah. I tell you what, mate. I tell you what. If I pick Metropolis, which I won't
Oh,
do, but yeah,
No,
exactly,
no.
exactly. If I pick Metropolis, which I can't because science fiction's already taken because somebody stuck in 2001: A Space Odyssey. But if I was to chuck that in there, honest to God, even though it's literally like 100 years ago now or thereabouts, you take a few more lessons from that film based on modern society now than, and it's a bit like when you streamed They Live, was it last night?
Yeah.
A truer word spoken in fiction, shall we say? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
do
why it's
know of
great.
that film. I know of it, but I've not seen it. So yeah, maybe another time we can get it.
Yeah, it is a classic. In fairness, it is, and there's a great version on YouTube, free of charge because I think it's out of copyright. So it is a long film. It is a silent film, but it is a classic. So probably an ideal pick. But I can't pick that because you picked Kubrick's 2001. So I'll have to go for the next
yeah, but
launch.
not to stretch a point, you could pick Metropolis under documentary.
No. No, I did. I actually did. I
Or
did have
fantasy.
Yeah, well, it is a fantasy, I suppose. Yeah, but yeah. In fairness, I had a few fantasy films milling around in my head that I thought, they'd be good picks for the fantasy one if nobody else picks it because it's usually like the struggling topic. But then I've got a few good ones for the documentary. I've got a few good ones. So I'll have to try and pick. I'll try and pick one that I think will be interesting and good for everybody else as well. I won't show my hand just yet, but I will make sure in the next week so you can schedule that stream soon, and then everybody gets to see it. And also, once I've made my mind up, if I'm on every single day of the week, 24/7, like what William says, I'll make sure I'll promote it as well. Which I did. In fairness, like I say, me and Toff had just been doing the streams on a Monday, and I did say this Monday we were doing Fistful of Dollars on Friday. So, because it was the only time Bonnie Lad's been streaming on Saturdays at 8:00, and I am joining him tomorrow evening at 8:00 because I am around this weekend. But it's been a bit of a struggle, so we've only been able to do Monday nights at 8. So for the irreverent view on the world's news and topics, tune into my channel at 8:00 on a Monday, where you hear far more profanity and a lot more dissent against the regime. But anyway, yeah.
Okay. We'll look forward to the movie you pick, said so. Whatever it happens.
Maybe I'll pick King Frat.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was one of those early 80s films like Porky's and National Lampoon's, that kind of genre. So
Okay.
Oh, Ecky's picked Crowley in 1983. Oh, brilliant film. Love that film. Great film. In fact,
Get your glaive out.
In fact, one of the running jokes I've got at work is when you've got these idiots who don't know anything, and it's like they keep on moving the goalposts. It says it's like finding Krull's castle, in it. You know what I mean? Every day it's a changing goal. That you have to try and find. Zardoz, who we go in here? That one there, Zardoz, because there was a cracking one-liner in a film in a program called Phoenix Nights, which was a comedy with Peter Kay, and you've got Max and Paddy who are the two bouncers, and they're talking about the films that Sean Connery's in. And he goes, "What was that one where he got his cock out? Zardos." That was it. Yeah. Yes. There's Packer in there again. Hey, cheeky Packer. Look at this. I'm going to ban you, Packer. Yeah, you don't end up on the naughty step like Billy Bloggs. Put it that way. Dissing the Nolans again. Anyway, sorry, mate. I'll let you carry on.
No, I was just going to get the music in, get you all to sign out, as it's we did very well time-wise. So we'll start with you, Samuel. Is there anything you'd like to say before I take you out of the stream?
I just want to thank everyone for coming along and everyone talking about the film today. It's fun again, and thanks for having me.
No problem, my boy. Eki, any last words?
God is with us, and also remember to floss.
Very good. Are you still streaming?
No, I kind of wish that I was, but things are not lining up for me to do what I used to do, which is too bad. Maybe one of these days I'll do a couple of streams, but nothing like that in the near future now.
Okay, doke. Right. Well, William, what have you got to say?
Yeah, been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it, even though I missed half of it. It's always a good laugh and mixed views, which is great on the film. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll be watching it again with my wife, and I can ruin it for her, as I like to do, and we can fall out. So, yep, marriage is great, right? But yeah, I'm actually I'm on Scott's Armour tomorrow night, so
Oh,
if
good.
anybody wants to check that out, you can catch us there. That should be a good crack. And of course, Sensum will let you know he's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all the other days after. But it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, John, and cheers to the panel and everyone else. Take care, folks.
One last thing, William. What time for Scots?
I think 8:30, if I remember
8:30.
correctly. Yeah,
Sounds about right.
cool.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Sunday, mate. After
Oh, yeah,
that.
Sunday night. Yeah, did I say tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Sunday.
Yeah, it shows you where I'm at. I'm actually at the football tomorrow, so it won't be tomorrow. It'll be Sunday.
No,
yeah. Cheers, Sensum.
say it properly, mate. Say it
Yeah.
properly.
I'm glad you're here to keep me right.
I'm at the Fitba.
I'm at the Fitba, yeah. I'm actually away through to a place called Peterhead, and it's like a rivalry we've got with them, and it's always funny because we sing a song about their town being a prison, because there's a big prison in Peterhead, so it'll be a good laugh, and I look forward to it. But yeah, Sunday night, 8:30. Cheers.
Yeah,
Take care,
forward
folks.
to that one, mate.
Well, enjoy your
Cool.
Fitba.
Many
Fitba.
thanks.
That's how you say it. Fitba. Okay. So that leaves you, Sensum. Have you?
Yeah, well, I've pretty much said what we're going to do. So tomorrow night over on Bonnie Lad's channel, I'll be joining him for his 8:00 news stream, and then on Monday night, it's on my channel. It's Monday Night Raw with Toffee, and we may have a special guest on in the form of DJ if he's available. So that's on Monday night at 8:00 on my channel. So
That'll be good.
that'll be it. So I literally done Friday, Saturday, and then a Monday, and it's like buses, isn't it? You know, they come, they all come at the same time. But yeah, but thanks again, John. Really enjoyed it. Enjoyed enjoyed the pick, enjoyed to watch it. Like I say, I watched it tonight for the first time in 30 years, probably, or the neck end of 30 years. So
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. And
Well, I'm glad it brought some nice memories back.
It nostalgic memories. It really did. Yeah. Thank you for that, John. Yeah, I appreciate that. So, and God bless to everybody in the chat. So thank you, John.
No problem, my friend. Right, folks. We're at that time again already. It's surprising how quickly these evenings just go by. Time rushes when you're having a good time, as they say. So anyway, you got some timetabling there for shows. I shall be back on Tuesday and probably Friday again at this point. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. You get a bit of weather, get outside and enjoy. Otherwise, I shall say, as I usually say, it's adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until Tuesday evening from me, bye for now. Enjoy the music. I'll speak soon. Bye.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides the fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now.
But love's much more,
So much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But a very important
the
glow.
eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, has some consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
All together now.
But we're much more
So much more
than we can know.
than we could ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But a very important glow.
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
So you folks take care, and thanks for coming as always. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and the rest of the review team enjoyed it. So we'll speak again soon, my friends. Take care. Bye just now.